Shabbat Shalom, family. I pray all is well with you and yours. Today we begin our multi-video series, A Covenant People Under Siege. This is out of YaramaYah and Qynahym, or Lamentations, the 5th chapter. Our topic is foreign domination, identity erosion, and the pattern of captivity repeating through the ages. This message exposes the conditions described by YaramaYah and the house of Yasharal in the kingdom of Yehuda, not simply as ancient history, but as a living pattern that has resurfaced in Assyria, Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, Spain, Portugal, and modern American captivity. A prophetic diagnosis of what happens to Yasharal when leadership collapses, covenant is violated, and foreign powers, to include Adamic strangers, mixed populations, and fully whited out heathen seed lines, breach our borders to dislocate us, take control of our land, our labor, our identity, and our destiny. We're going to start every message in this series by reading Qynahym, the 5th chapter, together, because this is the Most High's description of a covenant people under siege. Remember, O Alua, what is come upon us. Consider and behold our reproach. Our inheritance is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens. We are orphans and fatherless. Our mothers are as widows. We have drunken our water for money. Our wood is sold unto us. Our necks are under persecution. We labor and have no rest. We have given the hand to the Egyptians and to the Assyrians to be satisfied with bread. Our fathers have sinned and are not, and we have borne their iniquities. Servants have ruled over us. There is none that doth deliver us out of their hand. We get our bread with peril of our lives because of the sword of the wilderness. Our skin was black like an oven because of the terrible famine. They ravished the women in Zion and the maids in the city of Yehuda. Ravished. Rosh, overpowering force, ruler, aggressor. Bat, body, inner chamber, what should be protected. Shan, tearing, devouring, violent destruction. A hostile force, Rosh, invaded the protected body, Bat, with tearing violence, Shan. They forcefully overpowered and violated the bodies of our women. YaramaYah is describing breach of purity, breach of protection, humiliation of the nation, the very stripping of our honor, the powerlessness of Yasharal when invaded, the enemy asserting dominance through the bodies of the daughters of Zion. In Abarym thought, this is not just sexual violence. It's a national shame because not just body, but the house, the future, the lineage, the womb. Daughters represented honor of the house, while sons represented the continuation of the lineage. When the bot is violated, the nation is violated. This is why prophecies tie it to judgment, siege, and defeat. They took the young men to grind, and the children fell under the wood. The elders have ceased from the gate, the young men from their music. The joy of our heart is ceased. Our dance is turned into mourning. The crown is fallen from our head. Woe unto us that we have sinned. For this our heart is faint. For these things our eyes are dim. Because of the mountain of Zion, which is desolate, the foxes walk upon it. Thou, O Alua, remainest forever. Thy throne from generation to generation. Wherefore dost thou forget us forever and forsake us so long time? Turn thou us unto thee, O Alua, and we shall be turned. Renew our days as of old. But thou hast utterly rejected us. Thou art very wroth against us. Now that we've heard the cry of our ancestors, let's look at the world YaramaYah was born into and why this lament still fits our people today. YaramaYah was born into the Luym priestly line of Aharon and Ali, or Eli, who raised Shamma'ul or Samuel. This means his family lived in Anatath, a priestly city allocated to the Luym inside Benjamin's territory. He came from the Aharonim line, responsible for altar service, offerings, purification rituals, and sanctuary work, not legal teaching. His line came from the house of Ali, the priestly branch that had been judged for corruption in Ali's sons. Because he is Luym and a prophet, YaramaYah stands at the intersection of two divine callings. One, ancestral priestly identity, the Aharonim ritual lineage. Number two, Ruah appointed prophetic authority, warning voice sent to kings, priests, and the nation. This dual identity explains why his prophetic writings are saturated with legal indictments and covenant language. Not because his lineage handled Torah instruction, but because the prophetic office carries legal authority directly from Yah above every priestly division. It is important to understand that YaramaYah came from the Abarym priesthood, in particular, the line that Shalama exiled to Anatath. His ancestor Abiathar, a priest of Aharon's line, descended from the house of Ali, the priestly family that served during the days of Shamuel. Because Ali's sons corrupted the priesthood, Yah pronounced judgment that this branch would one day lose its central position. That judgment reached fulfillment when Abiathar supported the wrong heir during the Dawid succession. Shalama removed him from office and banished him to Anatath, completing Yah's prophecy against Ali's house. From that point forward, the priests of Anatath were a displaced and humbled Luym division, a sidelined branch of the Abarym priesthood, still legitimate, still Luym, but living under the shadow of prophetic judgment, political punishment, and generational displacement. That's the lineage YaramaYah was born into. A real priest, a real Abarym, but from a priestly line that had been pushed out of central authority, marked by generational trauma, and painfully aware of what corrupt leadership does to covenant order. This is why YaramaYah had the temperament that he had. This is why he feared speaking to elders and kings. This is why he spoke so sharply against corrupt priests and corrupt rulers. This is why he understood exile before the nation ever went into exile. He was born from exiled priests, speaking to a soon-to-be and ultimately exiled nation. Anatath is a priestly settlement within the territory of Benjamin, assigned to the Luym as of one of their 48 designated priestly cities. Everyone living there had a connection to the priesthood, temple responsibilities, covenant obligation, and generational memory of royal treatment toward priests. Functionally, Anatath was a mini administrative center for Luym families, a training environment for scroll literacy and covenant law, a university town for priestly education, a community of highly educated Luym households, and a center of historical memory linked to Dawid's covenant and temple life. Anatath is not a random town. It was a spiritual, intellectual, priestly powerhouse. Anatath was given to the sons of Aharon, in QazaqaYah 21 and 18. This means YaramaYah's father, QazaqaYah, was a son of Abarym, a descendant of Eleazar or Eleazar, from the line of Panakash or Phineas, of the legitimate sacrificial priesthood. He was not from Garshan. He was not from Merari. He was not from Masha. He was not from Miriam. This is the high priestly line, the Ali class of the Luym. These are the priests who handle sacrifices, guarded the most Kadash place, taught Torah. They also enforced purity laws and carried the highest national spiritual responsibility. This explains why YaramaYah's writings carry weight. He was born into the Ali line of Aharon. Anatath wasn't just priestly. It was the city of exiled priests, descended from Abiathar. Abiathar supported Dawid against Shaul, but then he also supported Adoniah against Shalama. So Shalama banished him to Anatath. Therefore, the lineage is Aharon, Yathamar, Ali, Abiathar, priests of Anatath, QazaqaYah, YaramaYah. This makes Anatath a city of wounded priests, a displaced priestly community, a center of generational trauma, a community bitter about royal injustice, a place suspicious of corrupt kings, a priesthood sidelined from power. YaramaYah grew up hearing the monarchy is not what it used to be. Our ancestors were faithful but punished by wicked kings. Jerusalem doesn't honor true priests anymore. Corrupt kings destroyed our house. The city is full of false prophets and evil priests. This trauma shapes his emotional prophetic tone. Anatath's proximity to Jerusalem is close enough to see corruption. It's only a few miles away. Priests traveled regularly to the temple for rotation. They served in sacrificial duty and purity laws. They had direct visibility into the city's spiritual decline. YaramaYah grew up hearing the priests in the temple have compromised. The princes are corrupt. The elders take bribes. The prophets lie in Yah's name. The people love idols more than Torah. This gave him front row exposure to corruption. Distance necessary for prophetic clarity. He could see the hypocrisy without being swallowed by it. His childhood was a collision of trauma and tradition. He grew up in Torah recitation, purity rituals, sacrifice preparation, priestly training, songs, prayers, and fasting. Memory of David's righteousness, reverence for Yah. The priestly trauma he inherited was the disgrace of Abiathar, exile of their fathers, a resentment toward wicked kings, suspicion of political authority, the collapse of temple integrity, and the memory of corruption and injustice. Duality. He loved the covenant and he saw it betrayed daily. This produced his sensitivity, emotional depth, tears, lamentation, righteous anger, and prophetic boldness. This is why Yah made him the weeping prophet. Why did he say, I am only a child? It was not about fear. It was about culture. In priestly culture, elders did not accept correction from the young. Leaders despised rebuke. Priests expected submission from juniors. Rebuking older men violated cultural norms. Young prophets were not honored. The Luym had generational trauma from monarchy abuse. So when YaramaYah said, I am a child, what he's saying is, they will not respect my voice. He had watched older leaders ignore truth. He saw priests resist correction, elders reject discipline, kings silencing the righteous, and prophets mocked rebuke. He knew his calling would result in humiliation, persecution, beatings, imprisonment, rejection, conspiracy, and betrayal. And he was right. Even Anatath, his own priestly hometown, later sought to kill him. Before his calling, YaramaYah's childhood was shaped by catastrophic national events. Events that happened in close succession and formed the backdrop of his entire life and assignment. A few generations before YaramaYah's birth, QazaqaYah, King Hezekiah, was supposed to die, but pleaded with Yah, and Yah extended his life 15 years. You can find that story in 2 Kings 20:6. QazaqaYah's sickness was not random. His death sentence came because he committed a grave error of pride and ingratitude immediately after Yah delivered the nation from Assyria. After Yah destroyed 185,000 Assyrian soldiers in one night, QazaqaYah did not render proper thanks to Yah. He became lifted up in pride and failed to humble himself after a national miracle. He allowed arrogance to settle in his heart. You can read about it in 2 Chronicles, the 32nd chapter, the 24th through the 26th verses. Scripture plainly says, but QazaqaYah rendered not again according to the benefit done unto him, for his heart was lifted up. Therefore, there was wrath upon him. This wrath is the reason the prophetic word of death came. His sickness was a judgment, not a random illness. YashyYah told him, set your house in order, for you shall surely die and not live. 2 Kings, the 20th chapter and the first verse. QazaqaYah turned to the wall, prayed, repented, and Yah extended his life. After his healing, he foolishly opened his entire treasury and palace to foreign envoys, specifically from Babylon. QazaqaYah showed them everything: the gold, the silver, the spices, the precious oils, the armory, the temple treasures, and the royal coffers. He showed them all the wealth of Yasharal. This was forbidden. YashyYah rebuked him harshly. Prophetic judgment was given. The prophet said, everything you showed them will one day be carried to Babylon. Your own sons will be made eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. That's in 2 Kings, the 20th chapter, the 16th through the 18th verses. This is the prophetic seed of what unfolds under Manasseh's, his son's, reign. QazaqaYah did submit to the king of Assyria briefly. During Sennacherib's campaign, QazaqaYah paid tribute. He stripped gold from the temple doors. He submitted under pressure. But Yah later delivered him and freed him. The angel destroyed 185,000 Assyrian troops. That's in 2 Kings, the 19th chapter and the 35th verse. This broke Assyria's attempt to fully capture Yehuda during QazaqaYah's lifetime. To understand the weight of the king's actions, the power of QazaqaYah's curse, and the atmosphere YaramaYah was born into, you must understand how ancient Yasharal viewed royal children, royal women, and royal honor. This is the piece our people were never taught. Number one, royal children equal national honor. In ancient Yasharal and across all Near Eastern cultures, royal children were not just kids. They were the future of the dynasty, the continuation of the tribe, the physical proof that the heavens favored the king, the security of the kingdom, and the hope of the nation. To lose a royal child was not merely sad. It was considered a cosmic humiliation, a sign of divine judgment, and a national crisis. This is why the Most High told QazaqaYah, your sons shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. 2 Kings 20 and 18. In their world, that meant no heirs, no grandchildren, no future monarchy, no masculine legacy, cutting off the Davidic power and public shame before the nations. This is why QazaqaYah went silent. This is why the curse was devastating. Number two, the kidnapping, unveiling, or violation of royal women was the highest form of national disgrace. To take a queen or princess meant your king is weak Your God cannot save you. Your nation is conquered and your dynasty is defiled. This is why Dawid and his warriors broke down when they returned from Ziklag and discovered that their families were taken. They wept until they had no more power to weep. 1 Samuel 30:4. It was not simply emotional. It was covenantal, prophetic, national shame. And this is why Yah told Dawid to pursue, because recovering women and children was recovering honor, dignity, and divine favor. Number 3, women in the royal house were veiled, protected, and hidden. Most of the population never saw the queen's face. She was guarded like the ark itself. Why? Because a queen represented the dignity of the royal house. Her exposure represented vulnerability. Her beauty represented blessing. Her capture represented defeat. And her lineage represented the purity of the dynasty. So veiling, renaming, concealing origins, and crafting acceptable Yasharal identities was normal. Exactly the way Daniel's name was changed to Belteshazzar, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah's names were changed to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Yosef's name was changed to Zaphnath Pioneer. Foreigners integrated into Yasharal were given Yasharal names. Even YashyYah, YaramaYah, and Yahasakal appear in variant spellings. Names were tools of assimilation. So a foreign or mixed queen bearing a Yasharal name does not mean she was ethnically pure. It means she was absorbed into the culture and concealed for political stability. This opens up the truth about Mashalamoth, mother of King Amon, and Yadada, mother of King YashyYah, and their likely foreign or mixed backgrounds, especially coming from border regions full of Edomite and Philistine presence. Number 4, children equal a woman's honor. Modern women fear pregnancy in many cases. Ancient women feared barrenness. Rachel cried, "Give me children or I die." Genesis 30:1. Because in their world, children equal honor. Barrenness equals shame. Children equal protection. Barrenness equals vulnerability. Children equal favor. Barrenness equals curse. Children equal identity. Barrenness equals invisibility. A woman's worth was measured by her ability to extend the tribe. This cultural truth undergirds every story behind Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, Hannah, Samson's mother, the Shunammite woman. Even in captivity, producing children meant Yasharal would outlive their enemies. This cultural lens exposes the real YashyYah. Once you understand the ancient weight of lineage, honor, mixed bloodlines, foreign mothers, veiling, renaming, political alliances, shame, and dynastic continuity. YashyYah's story shifts. He was born from a borderland mother, raised in a mixed, compromised palace, shaped by advisors with foreign loyalties, elevated as a child king, the easiest to manipulate, used as a token to calm the people, propped up as a cosmetic righteous act, able to mimic revival without possessing true covenant purity. And this is why he aligned with Assyria instead of defending Yasharal. He attacked Egypt even though Egypt said, Yahuwah sent me. He fought the wrong war for the wrong kingdom. And he died fighting for the oppressor. All of this is why YaramaYah saw through the deception. YaramaYah was a child, but he wasn't blind. Children often perceive what adults no longer notice, especially when those adults have become numb, distracted, or drunken with wickedness. The innocence of Adamic children keeps their spirits sensitive to the spiritual quality of the people around them. Their purity makes them more aware of corruption, deception, and danger than the adults who should be protecting them. Even animals share this spiritual awareness. They sense intent, purity, and danger with a clarity adults often lose. YaramaYah saw veiled queens, the concealed lineages, the political marriages, the mixed dynasties, the foreign influence, the illusion of righteousness, the cosmetic reforms, the oppression beneath the surface, the false hope, the fear of barrenness, the honor-shame dynamics, the national trauma, and the prophetic weight. He was born into a kingdom already collapsing under impurity, mixed lineages, false leadership, foreign influence, political illusions, and spiritual deception. And this is the world he was anointed to confront. Number 5, the curse was said to hit not under the days of King QazaqaYah, but under the days of his son. It erupts violently under Manasseh. Manasseh brings in every watcher abomination, child sacrifice, sorcery, idolatry, bloodshed, priesthood corruption, temple defilement, murder of prophets, including YashyYah. Manasseh is the full manifestation of the curse. Number 6, Manasseh restored idols and cult practices his father removed, but did not destroy. Here's the truth. QazaqaYah removed idols from active worship, but he did not utterly destroy every high place nor purge every priesthood line. Some cult objects were hidden and then resurfaced later. Some pagan priests survived. When Manasseh came to power as a young boy, he was influenced by surviving apostate priests, foreign advisors, mixed population groups, old pagan families, foreign wives and concubines, and Assyrian political pressure. He reversed everything QazaqaYah did instantly. Number 7. Manasseh's rebellion is how the curse given to QazaqaYah unfolds. Yah told QazaqaYah, it will not be in your days, meaning your reign will have peace. Your son will inherit the curse. Your nation will collapse after you. Manasseh becomes the most wicked king in Yehuda's history and triggers national bloodshed, temple defilement, demonic worship, political collapse, prophetic persecution, the beginning of generational judgment that will lead to Babylon. Number 8. This is exactly the foundation of the world YaramaYah was born into. The sequence is QazaqaYah, revival, then foolishness, then prophecy of future destruction. Then we have Manasseh, 55 years of hell, bloodshed, and demonic activity, followed by his son Amon, a brief reign of wickedness. And finally, we have YashyYah, a political performance, not a true revival. The people were pacified, not purified. And the king's hidden alliances proved the nation was not healed. Number 5, YaramaYah, born into the aftermath. This is why Yah told YaramaYah, I will bring evil upon this place, which shall make the ears tingle. This was directly tied to the curse spoken to QazaqaYah's day, fulfilled through Manasseh's sins. Number 6, the decline after QazaqaYah's revival. He grew up hearing about the final righteous revival under King QazaqaYah, a revival that took place roughly 60 to 70 years before YaramaYah's ministry began. By the time YaramaYah was born, the effects of that revival had completely collapsed. The timeline notes QazaqaYah's revival was roughly 715 to 686 BCE. And YaramaYah's birth was roughly 650 to 645 BCE. Around 35 to 40 years after QazaqaYah's death. This means YaramaYah never witnessed covenantal faithfulness firsthand. He only heard the elders speak of the days when Yahuwah moved mightily and how quickly the nation fell backward afterward. During his childhood, he grew up hearing how wicked kings before QazaqaYah polluted Yahuwah's worship, how foreign deities were introduced into the temple grounds, how altar services were corrupted, how Luym families failed in their temple duties, and how the revival QazaqaYah fought for was short-lived and almost forgotten. Jerusalem was already in religious decay by the time YaramaYah came of age. Manasseh reigned 55 years, longer than any Yehudi king, and his reign was the single most destructive period in post-Davidic history. Manasseh's reign was 697 to 642 BCE. YaramaYah is born near the end of Manasseh's reign. He likely spent his infancy and childhood under this king. Manasseh reversed every righteous reform of QazaqaYah. He filled Jerusalem with bloodshed and violence, sanctioned sorcery and watcher practices. He practiced child sacrifice. He placed idols inside the temple and corrupted the entire Abarym priesthood. He murdered prophets and righteous men. Manasseh's mother, Hepzibah, carried a fully Abarym name. My delight is in her, and is not labeled foreign in scripture, yet the political and spiritual environment surrounding her was saturated with foreign influence. Hepzibah lived during the height of Assyrian dominance, when Yehuda was a vassal state and Assyrian culture, advisors, envoys, religious practices, and political expectations flooded the royal court. Even if Hepzibah was ethnically Yasharal, the woman, priesthood, remnants, foreign dignitaries, and survival pagan families in and around the palace shaped the worldview of her son more than she ever could. Manasseh grew up around Assyrian court customs, including magical arts, star worship, necromancy, and demonic rituals. Because these practices were normalized in the geopolitical sphere, Yehuda was forced into them. His later obsession with watcher practices, child sacrifice, star altars, and demonic divination reflect not only the wickedness of his heart, but also the environment of his upbringing. In other words, Hepzibah may have been Yasharal by blood, it is not likely, but Manasseh was effectively raised in an Assyrianized palace, which explains the immediate and violent reversal of QazaqaYah's reforms. His upbringing was the soil of apostasy. The sawing of YashyYah traditionally occurred during his reign, and YaramaYah would have grown up hearing about this horrific act. This shaped his understanding of what prophecy would cost him. As a child, YaramaYah witnessed a nation drowning in idolatry, a priesthood compromised, righteous families living in fear, and prophets being hunted. This was the soil his calling grew out of. Amon, Manasseh's son, continued his father's corruption. His reign was brief, only a couple years, but he intensified idolatry rather than repenting like his father did at the end of his life. Amon's mother, Meshalemoth, was the daughter of Haraz of Yatba, a town whose exact location is debated, but is widely believed to lie either in the Shaphala near Philistine territory or on the Edomite border zone. Her name is Hebrew, but her father's name is not distinctively Yahudim, and the region itself was ethnically mixed, shaped by Philistine, Edomite, and even Assyrian presence. This means Amon was likely born from a mixed or border region lineage, explaining why his reign was spiritually worse than even his father's. Foreign influence would have shaped his mother's upbringing, worldview, and daily customs, and this influence carried directly into the palace through her. Amon's aggressive idolatry, his immediate reinstitution of pagan shrines, his devotion to foreign altars, and his violent rejection of Yasharal's covenant identity reflect the cultural inheritance of a son shaped by a mother from a borderland environment. His quick assassination by his own servants show that even the palace officials recognized how deep the foreign corruption had taken root in his life. Meshalemoth's background helps explain why Amon never embraced covenant fidelity. He was formed by a household shaped by foreign geography, foreign influence, and foreign spiritual culture. During Amon's rule, false worship was normalized, violence increased, sorcery continued, the priesthood remained polluted, and corrupt officials tightened control over the city. All right, we're going to stop right here and end video 1 because it's going to get much more detailed as we go further, and I don't want to weary you and overwhelm you in one setting. Not everybody can sit through 2 hours of scriptural academia like I can. That is why I am Luym. When we come back for video 2, we will pick up in slide 4 under the header YashyYah's false revival, a cosmetic reform that deceived the nation. Stay tuned for video 2 and the series as it continues along. Be blessed, be healed, be delivered, and be set free. I love you, Yasharal. Shalom.